Hey friends, welcome back to my home studio. So today we're going to be making a ginger / garlic grater. I'm going to be using it for ginger because I drink a lot of ginger tea. It really helps to settle the stomach after a nice meal. But I was always one who just chopped up the ginger, and I was visiting a friend recently who had one of these ginger graters, and I was just like amazed how amazingly strong the tea was. Like I was totally hooked. And I was like, okay, this is like a piece of ceramic that's mass produced fine, but I can probably make this. So that's the challenge today. I'm going to try and make a ginger grater. I've done a little bit of research, but as usual, I've never made this before. So let's see how it goes. So for this project, you're going to need the typical slab building stuff, right? So I'm going to use these thickness gauges. I'm going to use a rolling pin, and I'm going to use a rib for rolling out the slab. Then we're going to be making it curved a little bit. So I have some crockery from my kitchen here that I'm going to be using as well. So we're going to be doing the drape mold again. This is such a useful technique. So I'm going to be using this bowl from my kitchen and a piece of cloth to make the drape mold. And then I have 2 additional pieces of ceramic here. I'm just using these as stencils. Ideally you would have a cookie cutter or something like that in the right sizes, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to be using these as stencils. You can use anything round, jar cap will work fine for the smaller circle, whatever you have. And additionally, to cut out the shapes, I'm going to be using this knife. And I also am going to attempt to make the texture with this tool here. And for the clay, I just have a simple white stoneware clay. So the first step will be to roll out a slab. Okay, so I have my 1/2 centimeter slab here. Now I'm going to just use my bowl as a stencil to cut out a circle. Okay, so I'm going to be using my more shallow bowl as a mold, and then I just want to lay a thin piece of fabric inside of the bowl, and then lay my clay slab inside there. So basically I'm just coaxing the clay to adopt that more rounded shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let it dry to leather hard inside this mold. So when we remove it from the mold, it will still hold its shape and we can continue working with it. So I'm going to let this sit for about an hour. Alternatively, you can put it in front of a fan for about 10 minutes if you're in a rush. Okay, so it's been more like 20 minutes in front of the fan. How long you're gonna have to wait is just depending on so many different factors that I can't give you an exact time for it, but what I can do is kind of show you how it should be when it's firm enough. So basically it's still like, I can still move it if I like sort of bend it, but it's going to hold its shape, and that's what we want. What we do want it to be a little bit wet still, because I actually want to create a small spout on this. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to use my fingers for this. And I'm going to hold one finger straight across, and then I'm going to push down with that one finger, and with these 2 fingers I'm going to pull up a little bit. And this is a wheel working technique that simply just gives you a very small and subtle little spout, but it works very well. And for pouring my ginger into my tea, the spout is going to be important. So now I'm going to make the actual rough part. So I did test my tool on this, and I think it's going to work pretty well, but I don't want to cover the entire thing in the rough part. So I grabbed this mug that is just the right sized rim, and I'm going to just try and put it in the center, and then I'm just going to push down a little bit. I just want to get the imprint of that circle. That's good, yeah. And this also did the added benefit of making that bottom part flat again, which I think will just be nice for stability while you're using the tool. I didn't do this on purpose, but it's actually a little bit forward towards the spout, which is actually nice because I'm thinking as I'm using this, I'm gonna hold it here and rub it against the tool, and this being flat will keep it stable on the surface. So good job, accidental me. Okay, so now I'm going to add the texture. Now, what I realized when I was doing the testers on these pieces is it's important to not go straight down. You want to go at an angle, because what happens here, it's actually this sharp part here that's gonna catch the ginger on when you run it over. So you wanna use this tool at an angle, maybe 45-degree angle, something like that. And now I'm just going to choose a spot. So we're just gonna get into it. And it's as simple as that. I just created a little scratchy surface here. The only thing I want to add last is a little hole at the top. I'm going to go opposite the spout so that I can hang it on. We have these little hooks over our kitchen sink that we put stuff on to let it dry, and I think that would just be really handy. So this is totally optional, but I'm going to do a hole right opposite the spout. And I'll use my needle tool to cut it out. When you're making holes, always remember that your clay is going to shrink. So make the hole significantly bigger than the thing that it needs to go around. All right, all that's left is the final touches. I'm just going to use my finger to wipe around the edges to smooth those out nicely. I'm not going to worry about the extra roughness here because that's going to be really easy later for me to sand off when I bisque. So that's that. Now all there's left for me to do is let it dry out, to bisque it in the kiln, and then I'll glaze it, and then I'll put it back into the kiln for the final fire, and I will show you the results right now. I'm so happy with how my ginger or garlic grater turned out. It's almost perfect. If I were to do it again, I would make this spout a little bit more defined, because what I realized that I wanted to do while I was using it is pour the water over it to like get all of the ginger into the cup, and sometimes it's like spilling over the edge a little bit. That's all right. And I really am happy that I put this little hole in here because that means I can hang it up with my other spoons and whatnot. So I hope that you enjoyed that video. Please send me your ginger grater pictures on Instagram. You can find me at Pottery to the People. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.